everybody, welcome back to Classic Firearms. I'm Matt, and today we're going over some of my favorite kind of things to go over, which is surplus. It's been a while since I got to talk to you about surplus and some history of guns, guys, so I'm super excited to be here today. What we have today is the Star 30M pistol. So again, this is one of those things that I really like where we get into kind of like an older pistol, and I wouldn't necessarily say classic, but it's got a lot of elements from a lot of other classic pistols out there. So a lot of people who are into collecting firearms are going to know the Star name because Star is a very well-known Spanish manufacturer of a lot of handguns, and they're kind of known for copying things. So a lot of Star's pistol designs are kind of copies of the 1911. And so you'll be familiar with like the Star B or the Star BM. And those are things that we've had on the channel before. What's really interesting is the Star 30 comes from, it's a development of the Star Model 28, which was like their first original design pistol. Now, when I say original design, that doesn't mean it doesn't take elements from pre-existing designs, because that's kind of how firearm like design is done. They look at what's successful and they mix and match features to incorporate and create a new pistol that they hope to be successful. And the Star 28 did that. So it's based off of a Browning design, but unlike the 1911, this is more like the high power. So it uses a linkless barrel locking system. So, you know, the little link on the bottom of a 1911 barrel, we don't have a barrel link in this pistol. Instead, there's two lugs on the barrel, and there's a cam pin below the chamber that helps to lock and unlock the barrel from the slide as it's reciprocating. Now, one of the cool things I think about this is that it also incorporates features of like the CZ75 or the P210 in the way that it interacts between the slide and the frame. So if I lock this to the rear and kind of get y'all to take a look here, you'll see that the slide, the rails on the slide actually point outward and rides inside the rails on the frame. So, you know, it's kind of interesting that that's that way, because the rails on most pistols, like if we look at, say, a 1911 design, it's the opposite. So the rails on the slide are facing inward and it rides on the outside of those rails on the frame. So again, this is similar to something like a P210 or a CZ75. Really interesting kind of stuff. So as far as, you know, the Model 28 was originally kind of manufactured and started working in the very early 70s. And a really cool fact as it relates to US gun collectors is that in 1977, it was actually participating in a US Air Force trial to replace the revolvers that were their service weapon at the time. They were using some 38 revolvers. They wanted to go to a semi-auto. And so they had, you know, trials. And while eventually the Beretta 92 did succeed and get adopted through those trials, the Star pistol, the Model 28, did participate. Now, I keep talking about the Star 28, so we're talking about the Star 30. What's the difference? Well, again, as time goes by and kind of innovations happen, there are going to be newer models that are just variations of that. So that's the case here. The Star 30 is a little bit of a variation on the Star 28. Very overall mechanically similar, and the Star 30M specifically is the military model that is just a slight adaptation to the Star 30. One of the cool things, well, some of the cool features of this pistol, it uses an ambidextrous safety, so you can see the safety lever here on this side as well as on this side. It's got an all steel construction, making it pretty weighty. This is about 3, maybe just a little over 3 pounds. It's a traditional double action, single action design. So, you know, if we'll double check the chamber on this, but all right, so let the hammer down. So if we pull the trigger, you'll see the hammer come back and fire. And then normally, once that fires, the slide will reciprocate. And then at that point, we just have single action operation. And so every shot after that first round is going to be single action. It does, of course, have a double stack magazine, which is really cool. You know, so it's a 15 round capacity. And if we look into these boxes, we kind of wanted to do a kind of an unboxing here. We'll see that the pistol is coming with 2 of those 15 round magazines, as well as several kind of cleaning implements. So we have kind of a cleaning rod here with a nice handle. I tell you what, most cleaning rods don't have a handle that nice. A couple kind of brushes and stuff, a little trigger lock just to keep things safe when you're storing it at home. And you can see the variation here. So sometimes they're going to come in, these are original Star cases. Sometimes they're going to come in the kind of clear poly cases. Other time, this really kind of pretty green case. Almost reminds you a little bit of those old school Tupperware Glock cases, right? So we're going to set this aside over here. Just set this pistol aside. We also want to show you the variation in the pistols themselves. So you can see one of the things I noticed with the 2 that we had laying out here is the variation in the grip. So this one just has the checkering all the way to the back strap, versus if we look at this pistol, you can see that there's some kind of striations here instead of checkering all the way around. So, again, due to the fact that these things are surplus, there are some variation due to, just time going by and different ways that they may have been manufactured over those times. So yeah, I mean, I really think that they are very cool though, because again, these are military model pistols. So this could be either the Spanish Army, the Spanish Navy, or even some police forces in Spain or Peru. So they were adopted and used by a variety of military and law enforcement agencies. Yeah, I think that that's just kind of a really fantastic thing. It's got a 4.5-inch barrel. So I would say consider it full size. Again, it fits my hand pretty much all the way up. And it is pretty thick of a handle due to the fact it's got that double stack magazine. Sights on it are pretty good. So, we've got kind of some adjustment here on the rear sight with this kind of screw here. So you can adjust the insert that's in this rear sight. Front sight is fixed. It's molded into the slide. So a little bit limited there. But I tell you what, I mean, it does feel good in the hand, and being that it is 9x19 standard 9mm NATO, which is kind of an important distinction because a lot of Spanish pistols you'll hear are 9mm, but they're in 9mm Largo or 9x21, 9x23 or something. Yeah, so this is standard 9mm you'll find anywhere online or in your local store. But yeah, let's take a look inside another case here. Because again, since there is going to be some variety in the condition, we want to give you guys a good look at that. So again, we got a second 15-round mag and some different cleaning kits. This looks like a little screwdriver for helping with disassembly. Yeah, I'm going to open up another one here, another two, and kind of get another look at some of the conditions here. The amount of wear is going to vary, so those two look pretty clean. This one, right off the bat, I see a little bit more wear here on the front of the slide. And so if we're looking at this pistol, this has a white highlight here on this front sight blade, just to give a little bit more of a easier sight acquisition. But yeah, again, coming from a left-hander's perspective, I love the fact that it's got that ambidextrous safety. Again, just trying to get a good look at the pistol so you have a good expectation. Here are the markings here. It says Mod 30M, caliber 9mm P for Parabellum, and then it's got NATO stamped there on the side. And then the serial number there on the side of the pistol there. And on the other side, we've got the beautiful star insignia and star. Yeah. All right. And again, I mean, so overall, I'd say that these are in very nice condition. Again, some external cosmetic wear, but nothing that concerns you as far as, they're actually pretty limited in wear. I love the kind of squared off front trigger guard there too. Kind of reminds me a little bit of like some Berettas. So let's just double check that. Single action trigger pull, of course, very, very light, super light, right? And so double action trigger pull, of course, is going to be longer and heavier. It's still pretty smooth, I would say. There's not a lot of grit or anything. You do feel kind of like that stacking of the spring, so it kind of bunches up a little bit at times, but it's not bad at all from a lot of the double action triggers that I have felt. Single action, just super light and crisp. Man, just kind of keep wanting to open up more examples so you guys can see. Okay, so this one is definitely, I'd say, the most wear we've seen on any of these so far. Just again, a lot around the side of the frame here. And even on top, so I'd say this one definitely feels like it's gone in and out of a holster quite a bit, but it's pretty even overall. Like, what I'm saying? It's not like there's a lot of wear in one spot. Generally speaking, it looks like the whole pistol has kind of just been weathered from age and use. So visible on this rear sight insert, you can see there are actually also two white dots. Again, just to help acquire that sight picture. They're a little dirty, but certainly you can see, again, some variation there. There's barely any remnant of that white paint in the groove on that front sight. So certainly they did make some different changes. And on this pistol, I also want to show this marking here, this GC, which is Guardia Civile, which is like the civil guard, and that is like a national police force. So again, you know that these were actually issued to a specific military or law enforcement organization, which is, I mean, really cool when you talk about the history of these things. Kind of reminds me of when we talked about like the Beretta 84 BBs and stuff. To know that this was actually something that was probably issued and used in Europe by those law enforcement agencies. All right, we got another example right here. flip this around. Actually, let's take a look just here at the case. So we've got Star and this really nice Star embossed logo. I mean, super pretty there. And of course, semi-automatic pistol, Star manufactured in Spain. It's in Spanish. I'm not going to try to pronounce that, but yeah, you know, that's it's a very nice case. Again, kind of reminiscent a bit of old school Glock cases. We're gonna take a look at this one, and another great example, again, kind of some moderate wear, nothing too bad. Interestingly enough, this has that white stripe, but it's got red. Somebody's filled in these back rear dots with red paint. So again, just want to show some of that kind of difference that you can come across. This one's actually kind of interesting in that it also has, somebody has painted the safety kind of designations. So you can see here the red paint is showing due to it being in the fire position. Here that gets covered up and we have a white dot indicator that's been exposed. So somebody really wanted to kind of do a little extra care and showing this pistol to, you know, a little bit of paint applied to help with use of it. But yeah, I tell you what, guys, these things, again, is it a little bit heavy for an everyday kind of carry? Sure. Is it a little bit full size for a concealed carry? Sure. But as far as like 15 round double stack magazine, traditional semi-auto, like double action, single action, this would be a fantastic sort of duty sized gun. And the price on it is phenomenal. If you would be looking to get something like, you know, a CZ75 and you're wanting to save quite a bit, you know, this is something that's also got a lot of history due to, again, that time frame in the 80s that it was produced. So the Star 30 was starting production in about 1984, and they were only produced for about 10 years, up until about 1994. So again, you've got a piece of history, you've got something that's got some interest. It's not just a standard firearm off the shelf that you're buying brand new. And yet, you know, due to the fact that they're in phenomenal condition, and the fact that they're made very, very high quality, I think that you still got a winner of a pistol here. So again, just kind of start pulling these things back toward the center so you guys can kind of see them all grouped together. You know, what we've got here is a great sort of just cross section of what you might see out of Star Model 30M pistols. 9mm, fantastic price, and again, a great opportunity which you could take to add something that's really special to your collection. But guys, yeah, let me know if there's anything else that you would like me to cover. You know, if there's history of a specific type of firearm or specific design that you would like kind of to get a history lesson about. I find a lot of that stuff super interesting, how firearms are related to each other. So again, you know, you've got Browning design influences as well as CZ design influences going into this. And you can kind of see how this pistol, even though it was made back in the 70s, incorporates features that you're going to be found on a lot of handguns that are, you know, on the market today. But again, guys, if you haven't yet, please go down there and subscribe. We always appreciate you coming down and your comments, and God bless, folks. We'll see you next time.